All right, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Line 50 Plus. We are in Alaska, and the line we're going to be talking about is this one, just outside of Anchorage, called Temptation Peak. I said pink because this line is in pink. So this line itself, whenever people think of Alaska, they don't think of these mountains right outside of Anchorage. But this is the playground of the locals, and this is kind of couloir land for a lot of the locals. To me, this is the place that I've been playing in the most. Like, access in Alaska is really tough. There's not a lot of roads, and in order to get to a lot of the mountains, you have to fly in. A lot of the best lines are in the Alpine, and you need either helicopters or planes, some sort of aerial device to put you high in the mountains, and you usually need clear days. Well, in this front range of the Chugach, you can ski on a lot of given days, and this ends up being the playground of a lot of the locals. So Temptation Peak is a peak that I didn't really know about. I didn't even know about the Front Range until I actually flew over it for the first time. And then I just started seeing all these couloirs. When you look at the Front Range from town in Anchorage, you look at it and you're like, doesn't look impressive at all. Looks lame. Look at it from the right angle, all of a sudden you start seeing a lot of rad stuff. So I flew by up Ship Creek, saw Temptation Peak, took a picture of this couloir, was like, what was that? Marked it, started researching it, started finding out, okay, that's a mountain called Temptation. There's a couloir called Temptation Couloir. One day I got to ski that. That day ended up being this spring. Wasn't probably the best time to do it. Glad I finally got to do it. So let's get into this video and talk about Temptation Couloir, Temptation Peak. So first thing I want to talk about, let's go stats. So 15.2 miles, and I think it was like 5,212 feet in total. The most annoying thing about it is you kind of start high, you go low, you go high again, and then you go low, and then you got to finish with 1,000-foot vert walk back to the car. Always kind of annoying when you got to hike back up to the car. Just one of those things. Sounds like there's some other access points. You can go up from this backside, the Snowhawk Trail right here. Hike up the backside, ski down, maybe hike back out this way. One thing of note is the reason I picked this, it was a very low snow year down low. We were there in May. It was one of the few lines in the Front Range that had a trail. This right here is called the Winter Ship Creek, Indian Creek Trail, or Winter Creek. Ship Creek Trail. It's not necessarily a summer trail, though. It's mainly a winter trail. It's a cross-country ski trail where people go from Arctic Valley all the way to Indian Creek on this side, the town, which goes all the way to Girdwood. So Girdwood being right here, Mount Alyeska. So wouldn't necessarily advise it in low snow. When there is a lot of snow, super simple line to get to. When it's low snow like we did, not an easy line to get to. But I really enjoy Sufferfest, so that was pretty fun for me. Anyways, one thing of note too, and this is where onX, such a good app. I turned this on and because I have these layers set in my phone just kind of constantly. So government land, private land. These lands, I put these land filters on quite often because I got to know if we're going to be able to legally fly drones or not. If it's a wilderness area, I can't fly drones. If it's a national park, I can't fly drones. If it's National Forest Service land, I'll check in with local regulations, I can fly drones. If it's state park land, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Just got to check in. So I turn on those layers in onX and see what kind of land we're going to be on to see if we can fly drones. So BLM land, we were able to fly drones. That's why we have drone footage. But I did notice something sort of weird. We were kind of going in here and I'm like, what's this color right here? Well, that's Alaska Mental Health Land. But I'm like, Elmendorf Air Force Base. Okay, Joint Elmendorf Air Force Base. I forget where I kind of saw it, but Department of Defense. It's like, huh, that's weird. We're going to be on Department of Defense land. So I wanted to see, I checked in. I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this like kind of land permit stuff. All of a sudden I saw that if you are going to be accessing Ship Creek through this access point, going through the Department of Defense land, this trailhead, if you're going to use it and park your car there, you have to check in. You have to fill out and get a permit with Elmendorf Air Force Base. So without this feature, I wouldn't have known that. Might have got a ticket or might have gotten fined. So went in. It was pretty easy to find. Just did a quick Google search. Was able to apply, put in my information, apply for a permit. It was like 10 minutes later, I have a permit. It was just pretty much a check-in saying like, you're not going to bring weapons onto an Air Force base. That's pretty much the extent of it. And don't fly drones and don't be a dumbass. So, and then the other thing is, then we know when we're hiking in, like, okay, cool. Now we just crossed into BLM land. Now we can fly a drone. Oh, we're in Chugach State Park. Can't fly a drone there. So having those land use, the land kind of layers on, really, really nice. Now to this line itself. So there's a kind of a parking lot that you can pull out, pretty obvious, really nice. And I look like a dork right there. Temptation Peak, you can see right there. This is Ship Creek Valley. There's a trailhead marked and everything. Like I said, not necessarily a great summer trail, pretty muddy. This was kind of what we started running into pretty quickly. Swampland. Bring your waterproof socks, bring waterproof shoes if you're going to be doing this. Yeah, we just kind of started following as best a trail as we could and started trudging through as best as we could. It was a combination of following some sort of beaten in trail, some sort of not. If this was in the winter time, what I really would have done was that I put a ski touring, probably actually would have put on just knot skins and just slid as far as I could, and then started ski touring across, and then cut across and start ski touring as far as possible. It seems like you could probably get there about an hour and a half, as opposed to what took us like 5 hours plus. So we were trudging through the woods for a very long time. It'd be much easier to do that when there's low or high snow. Yeah. So not much, essentially not much to report on if you're going to do this in low snow, because it looks like this almost the whole time. But again, I get like more energy doing this kind of stuff. It was funny, Morgan, Bjarne's brother, he was like, dude, by the end of the day, you had more energy than at the beginning of the day. And I was like, yeah, I don't know why, but I really like bushwhack sufferfest like that. I don't know, like all of a sudden you're bushwhacking and I just like go into zones that I like. It's weird. So that was one of the best days of the year for me. Don't ask me why. Just was. One of the things we did, which was really critical, so we found, we knew that at some point we had to cross this creek. We knew there was not going to be a snow bridge. We luckily found this very sketchy tree. We also knew it was going to be really hard to find that tree. So this waypoint was a waypoint that I actually set while we were out there. See, 5325. I marked it bridge. So while we crossed, we're out there. You're like, you might as well mark this, because when we start bushwhacking back, I need to know where this thing is so we can kind of find it again. So good thing to do when you're out in the woods is, if you need to know exactly where you are, mark it in your map. There's Morgan, Bjarne's brother. This was the bushwhack from hell once we start getting in there. I say hell, but it wasn't that bad. We don't have pictures of the worst part, because when it's in the worst part, it's hard to take your camera out. Yeah, walking up through all these alder groves, working our way around. You can kind of see, I love these this is my favorites, is when you're looking at trails like you go up, not that way. We go this way, like this thing. Yep, not that way. Go back down. Oh, that way, that way. Just kind of, you can see the alder grows walking in and out, walking in and out. This was our transition point. It's not much to learn from this for you guys because you're not going to do it in this low snow level. But what I will say was, if you are going to do this, best sort of approach is to come at it from this way. Don't hike all the way to here and then go straight up. Contouring, kind of using angles is a much better approach. One thing of note, I will say, this is one, if you are interested in doing Temptation Peak, when you're looking at it, it is kind of tricky. The furthest left, you're going to get tricked to think like, oh, there's a couloir that's like straight ahead, and that's the one to do. It's not the one to do. This furthest left one is the one. So you really got to kind of see it in the map here. Actually, I'm going to show on, this is where, in prior episodes, I said HD topo shading is really useful. This is where it's really useful to see that, oh yeah, there is the couloir. So yeah, anyways. Yeah, see, this is couloir. I'm gonna just jump to actually pictures of the couloir itself and the aerial pictures. So this is the couloir. This was one of the first photos I took of it, that I was like, what is that? I want to ski that. And this was in like early December one year, and I flew over it in a Beaver being an airplane, and I was like, I gotta find that, and figured out that that was Temptation Peak, figured out that that was a couloir that goes, decided that was on my list one day. So there is an alternative version. You can ski this. It does take higher snow levels. There is a bit of a rock step that needs to be filled in, it seems like. If you brought the right equipment, you could probably wrap through it. We didn't want to bring that equipment. Glad we didn't. We had enough of a tricky time. Again, I just said, looking at the couloir, it's this leftmost couloir is the one that goes. And then this is kind of that right couloir that ends up in a totally different spot. So this is that kind of links up to the same couloir. So let's see what this fourth picture is. Yeah, this was one of the plane photos that I took of it. So yeah, Temptation Peak. I guess the summit's a little bit further over. What are these photos? One of the cool parts about Temptation was this little part. There's this little divider. You can kind of see how it just splits off as you go into this right side down here. Skier's right versus left. You drop into the skier's right. This is the top drop in, which was pretty mellow, not that steep. I would say it was pretty playful, fun couloir. Definitely not that committing. Obviously, one thing of note of the front range of the Chugach, it's got a different snowpack than a lot of the other Chugach. It's got definitely a drier, more continental. It's still a maritime snowpack, but it doesn't get as much snow as the rest of the Chugach. It's a drier range, so things tend to age a little bit more. So the snowpack in general can be just a little bit more faceted, and things can sit there for a while, so they have different avalanche problems in other places. So that's the main tricky thing to the front range. And the other tricky thing is it just doesn't get as much snow. But yeah, so one thing to keep your eyes on if you ever want to ski out there. Most people don't go to Alaska to go ski the front range of the Chugach. They want to go ski Spines and Valdez, though. But for me, I would go up there to ski that because I like I don't know. I like roadside skiing, cool stuff on foot. Sure, I want to go ski the big dogs too, but that kind of skiing, that floats my boat as well. Yep. There it is. Man, not much else to say about that. Other than the front range of the Chugach is rad. Again, if you're an explorer, you like suffering, you like couloirs, look into the front range of the Chugach. There's a lot of cool stuff. Like I said, most people are not going to fly up to Alaska just to go ski that. They're probably going to go to Denali, Mount Hunter. They're going to go into the big Chugach. They're going to go to Valdez. They're going to go to all the other magical places in Alaska. But I do like skiing in the Frange whenever I can. So any questions? put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching this season of Behind the Line. Next year, we're going to be doing more 50 plus. And yeah, let me know what lines you want to see. Try and get some ideas. Come visit your local state. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao.